Hi. I want to talk about something that I really didn't know much about until I did a little bit of studying on it. And if you grew up the way I did, maybe you're in the same situation. This is about Tartarus. And I'm ashamed to admit that for most of my life, the only mention I had seen or heard of Tartarus was in the Bible, in 2 Peter 2:4. And I'm reading from the WEB. God didn't spare angels when they sinned, but cast them down to Tartarus and committed them to pits of darkness to be reserved to judgment. Imagine my shock when I discovered that this word originated in Greek mythology. So what or who is Tartarus? Tartarus is both a what and a who. Just as the god Hades is the god of the place called Hades, Tartarus is the god of the pit, dungeon, prison, or abyss called Tartarus. This is the abyss that the evil spirits called Legion didn't want Jesus to send them to, begging him instead to cast them into a herd of pigs. According to ancient Orphic sources, Tartarus is also the unbounded first existing entity from which the light and the cosmos are born. So basically, Tartarus made the world. This might remind us of the only reference to Lucifer that we have in the Bible. This is Isaiah 14:12 through 15. How have you fallen from heaven, morning star, or Lucifer, son of the dawn? How you are cut down to the ground who laid the nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mountain of assembly in the far north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the depths of the pit. Now remember that, the depths of the pit of Sheol, or Hades. We'll talk about that later. As we know, Jesus himself claimed to be the bright morning star. He is also said to be the Word by whom the worlds were formed. So we see a connection here between Tartarus, the god of the underworld, and Jesus, god of the overworld. We also see a link between Jesus and Satan and Tartarus. Satan, in the form of a snake or serpent, brought wisdom to humanity and the ability to know good from evil. He also transforms himself into an angel of light and has command of all power and signs and wonders. As a place, Hades is the underworld, which is comprised of three parts: the asphodel fields, or meadows, the Elysian fields, and Tartarus. The meadows are where most people end up after they die. It's a place where people are a shadowy version of themselves. They aren't really punished, at least not overtly, but they also aren't rewarded. The Elysian fields are for exceptional people, those who have led heroic lives. They spend eternity in peace and bliss. Tartarus is the worst place of Hades. It's the depths of the pit, and it's reserved for evil people and also defeated gods, like Satan. Tartarus is where Kronos imprisoned the Cyclops, and where Zeus, through Kronos and the other titans, after he conquered them with the help of Hades and Poseidon. And it's where the God of the Bible, Yahweh, says he will fling Satan once he is ever able to defeat him, and where, as noted above, the evil angels are already living. Remember the story of Lazarus and the rich man? Lazarus and Abraham could see the rich man burning. That's because both Tartarus and Paradise are, at least for the time being, in Hades. You might recall that Peter said that those who have turned from the pollutions of the world and have knowledge of Jesus and then backslide are worse off than they were in the beginning, and that they would have been better off never knowing Jesus than to know him and turn back. And Jesus said that those who know his will and don't do it will be beaten with many stripes. But those who don't know it and they commit sins that are worthy of many stripes will receive only a few because they were ignorant. Well, Tartarus is the place where the many stripes occur. But where do the few take place? Again, the biblical Hades has 3 sections, just as the Greek Hades does, because it's the same place. One sector for the great people, paradise, one for the horrible people, Tartarus, and one for the mediocre people, the meadows, I guess. Greek mythology, as well as the Bible, views the world as a circle. The earth is flat, and the dome above it has 3 sections. Remember that Paul talked about the third heaven? This top part is the sky or heaven or Uranus, while the dome below, with its 3 parts, is Hades. Now, Uranus is the Greek god of the sky, and the Bible uses his name, Uranus, to mean heaven, or the place of the gods. That's right. The word in the Bible for heaven is the name of a Greek god, just as the word for the underworld, Hades, is the name of a Greek god, and the word for the fiery pit, or the abyss, is the name of a Greek god, which is, of course, Tartarus. We still call them by these names. Uranus, or Uranus, is also the name of the 7th planet from the sun and the first to be discovered by scientists. Now, the god Uranus was the husband of Gaia, the mother of the earth. He actually was so connected to Gaia, lying right on top of her, that he pushed up against her so hard that he kept her children from coming out. They just piled up inside her, thrashing about, until one of them, Kronos, cut off the testicles of Uranus, and he pulled out and away. Does this sound kind of familiar? In the book of Revelation, heaven comes down and joins with earth. Heaven and earth are married, just as Uranus, the heaven, and Gaia, the earth, were married. Likewise, the God Jesus from heaven is the bridegroom of all the people on the earth who accept him as their husband. Now, as gods tend to be, Uranus was not the greatest of husbands, and Gaia cheated on him with the god of the worst part of Hades. She fornicated with Tartarus. So Mother Earth cheated on Father Sky with the god of the underworld. From that union came the great and mighty Typhon, who was a monster with 100 snake-like heads. He's sometimes called a fire-breathing viper. He tried to seize the throne up in heaven, but Zeus conquered him and banished him to Tartarus. And of course, again, we know the story of Yahweh's creation, or son, who was the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, whom Yahweh also cast down to Tartarus to be held in chains with all the angels who followed Satan in his rebellion against Yahweh. According to some beliefs, Satan is now loosed for the duration of 1,000 years. By the way, Yahweh is also always angry because his wife is constantly fornicating with various other gods, just as Gaia fornicated with Tartarus. But Yahweh is willing to take her back, and someday, sure enough, and as I said, Yahweh's son Jesus, who is also Yahweh, is going to come down and position himself on top of Gaia again. Heaven and earth will once more be joined. They will be called the new heavens and the new earth. This is at least probably the prevailing theory based on the biblical account. Some people think it's already happened. But if we aren't followers of Jesus, what happens to us if he actually ever does return? Well, you guessed it. He flings all unbelievers off into the lake of fire, or Tartarus. We may end up as ashes underneath the feet of those living in the kingdom on the new earth. So, who or what is Tartarus? It's the worst place in Hades. It's the deep abyss, the dungeon, the prison of the Titans and the Cyclops and the fallen angels of Yahweh, and the place where Yahweh plans to send Satan forever, along with the truly evil people, which apparently includes unbelievers. And just as Hades is ruled by a god called Hades, so Tartarus is ruled by a god called Tartarus. Thus, Tartarus is both a god and the worst place ever. And that is today's lesson on Greek and Judeo-Christian mythology. Thank you for watching. Bye.